Today I learned of Dr. Donald Hopkins. He helped eradicate smallpox, and is on the verge of killing another disease. He's taken Guinea worm disease down from 3.5 million cases a year to just 28 cases last year. Donald R. Hopkins, born September 25, 1941, is a Bahamian-American physician, a MacArthur Fellow, and is the Vice President and Director of Health Programs at the Carter Center. He graduated from Morehouse College with ABS, from the University of Chicago with a Doctor of Medicine, and from the Harvard School of Public Health with a Master of Public Health. He studied at the Institute of European Studies, University of Vienna. From 1984 to 1987, Hopkins was Deputy Director and Acting Director, 1985, of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thereafter, he was an Assistant Professor of Tropical Public Health at Harvard School of Public Health. He directed the smallpox eradication/measles control program in Sierra Leone. Throughout his career, Hopkins has received numerous awards, including the CDC Medal of Excellence, the Distinguished Service Medal of the United States Public Health Service, and a MacArthur Fellowship in 1995 for his leadership in the international campaign to eradicate Guinea worm disease. His book, Princes and Peasants, Smallpox in History, was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize in 1983. Smallpox has been called the most terrible of all the ministers of death. A contagious, often deadly disease spread by close contact, it scarred and blinded its victims, killing 300 million in the 20th century alone. Sierra Leone was hit by an epidemic the year before Hopkins arrived, and it fell to him, just 26 and newly married, to advise the national government as it responded. "I was too young to be cynical," he says. "It seemed very logical to me that we had a vaccine that, once you gave it to people, essentially protected them for life. The challenge was to mass vaccinate people. Hopkins and his team set out to do that, equipped with jet injectors that could deliver 1,000 shots per hour. They traveled by plane, pickup truck, and Boston whaler boat to province after province, circling the country counterclockwise. Where there were no roads, they'd often hike. There were lots of snakes," Hopkins says of those walks. "I was not at all fond of those. Villagers welcomed the vaccine," he says. "They knew what smallpox was, they feared it, and they were grateful for the help." Having helped wipe out one scourge, Hopkins was well positioned to lead the effort to eradicate a second. "I can't believe it's an accident that Don was involved in both," says Mark Siddall, a parasitologist at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. Hopkins first glimpsed a guinea worm in an undergraduate textbook. He never forgot the photo of a worm emerging from a woman's body. In 1987, after climbing the ranks and serving briefly as acting director, Hopkins left for the Carter Center, which embraced his vision of Guinea worm disease eradication and now coordinates the international effort. There, Hopkins knew he could work on the disease full-time, with more resources and with President Carter's global influence. Hopkins has remained at the center, in various roles, ever since. The global incidence of Guinea worm disease today is tiny compared to the 3.5 million cases in 1986. Still, the last vestiges of the disease, which in 2016 was reported in Chad, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, will take extraordinary effort to eliminate. Chad, which reported 16 of the world's 25 cases last year, has thrown a special challenge at public health experts. There, the worm has unexpectedly appeared in dogs, which must be tethered to keep them away from ponds but often aren't. To become extinct, Guinea worm needs to be eliminated from both human and canine hosts. When that happens, Hopkins says, there will be no place for this worm to come back from. Despite the frustrating bumps, Hopkins insists the end is close and says he won't retire until the disease is completely wiped from the planet. A heart attack in 2015 led him to stop flying. He lives in Chicago, and reduce his hours to half-time. Even though he has less stamina than he used to, Hopkins says the imminence of global eradication energizes him. "There's no way I can stop," he says. Here's what the Redditors of TIL had to say about this. CWV4 ever says, "Is he working with Jimmy Carter? MJ 8930, the op, replies. He works for the Carter Center for Guinea Worm Disease, I believe. Quixotic 9000 replies to both. Yes, and I tried to praise them as often as possible. Their work is incredible. Guinea worm is believed to be the origin of the rod of Asclepios, or the symbol of medicine still used today. The staff with the entwined snake. The treatment for guinea worm for literally thousands of years was for doctors to make a cut into a person's muscle and slowly, over days or weeks, wind the worm around a stick to extract it. Doing so required attention to toxins, muscle, and infection. It could be dangerous and painful for the patient, so having a proven practitioner to treat you was critical. This might be why the rod of Asclepios symbol became so common. It was a sign of quality treatment. It's amazing that today we are so close to eradicating guinea worm because of people like Dr. Hopkins. Edit, thank you for the gold. Jimmy Carter, his foundation, and Dr. Hopkins are awesome. Let's spread the word. Oxymum 2002 replies. President Carter is such a hero. Numbers 2357 exclaims. Remember when Jimmy Carter found out 4 years ago he had cancer that had metastasized to his brain, and people thought he had weeks or months to live, and he said, my goal is to outlive the guinea worm? I thought, I wish, but not a chance. Seems like he might do it after all. Method_man replies. Anti-vaxxers, cracks knuckles, hold my kale smoothie. Somnif replies. No vaccine in this case, it's water filters, changes in cultural practices, and education about what to do if someone does get infected. Basically it boils down to, hey, if a worm comes out of your foot, do not put that in the drinking water. Lord Bunny Whiskers says. Oh good grief. Reading about the guinea worm is a nightmare. Wouldn't shed a tear if they went extinct, even if that is highly unlikely to happen. Mokaizoki replies. Well, I don't think it's so much making the creature extinct as much as it is eradicating it as a human disease. It still procreates in other animals, I believe, but the whole point behind the program is that they teach these people where it's a problem how to avoid contracting the disease. I think. Edit, my bad, it is eradicatable because it's only found in humans and dogs. For some reason I thought differently based on some cloudy forgotten information, in the back of my mind. Still give the dude the Nobel Prize. Martin Silenus comments. They don't go after diseases with known non-human reservoirs for eradication efforts. They really are trying to make guinea worm extinct. The caveat is that very recently they've started to find a few dogs spreading the disease. However, it's already on the verge of extinction and they're starting to look for dog infections too. Good chance they'll be able to wipe it out, IMO. www.cartercenter.org/health/guinea_worm. Maybe Sadie quotes. The seventh of 10 living children and the first born in a hospital, Hopkins attended segregated schools, carrying an almost daily awareness that the scribbles inside his textbooks belonged to the white kids who had used them first. From the article. He's 76 years old. What an amazing man. Koast says. The worm can be pulled out a few centimeters each day. The process usually takes weeks. Permanent damage is uncommon. Thanks for watching. Today I learned by the Reddit King. Please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.